of the game a little bit more difficult at some point, because every time we introduce a game, we have to introduce all of the players to the concept of The Witcher, who The Witcher is, what's happening in the background. Although we're not talking about all the things that happen, back in the books, back in The Witcher 1, but still we have to share the concept of who Witcher is, how he was created, mutated, and all that stuff. So that makes developing the game a little bit more difficult. We have to spend more time on introducing the players into the game, the game's world, more dialogues at the beginning. The game has to be a little bit slower to actually allow you to smoothly immerse into the game's world, and then when it starts happening.
Okay, and obviously you mentioned earlier on you set out to make an adult game, and you didn't do that just by putting sex scenes in it, although those are in there. It's a rich story, and there's some very complex decisions that went into that. What other elements do you think define this as an adult game?
Okay, so first of all, creating this adult game, or an adult game, is very important for us. We believe that we want our audience to be like mature players who really know what they're trying to what they need from a game. They're well defined. They love RPGs, but not only RPGs, obviously. They're looking for a game that has a really intense storyline, some great combat. So we are targeting defined players, people who are looking for great emotions, a really immersive game for a mature audience. And because of this, we are adding all of those mature elements into the game, just like Sapkowski was adding them into the books. So first of all, we have those dialogues, which are really rich. Sometimes they're quite strong or harsh, but they're mature and they're just quite real. On the other hand, we have this brutal combat system, which is a little bit mature, you can call it this way, because it's brutal. But it's mostly about the storyline, right? The dialogues, the cutscenes, the things that are happening, the adventures, the problems you're facing while you're playing the game. Those are the main elements that are making the game so mature. And we're often forcing players to make different decisions, different choices, and those choices aren't something very, let's say, common or very easy to do. It's not, like I said before, it's not like choosing between being good or bad. It's often choosing the lesser evil. So you need to really feel the game. You need to be deep into the storyline. You must have a will to think about the reality of the game in order to make great decisions, the decisions that will prepare you for all the consequences. So that's all of those elements. That's quite complex and complicated, but all of those elements make the game so unique and so mature, I guess.
Okay. Do we have any further questions? No, we don't have one.
One here. Say who you are and what you do.
I'm Keith, and I'm just a gamer from Essex. So,
Hello.
You obviously squeezed a hell of a lot into the Enhanced Edition, and really built on the base going ahead for The Witcher 2. Is there any one feature or aspect of the game that you just wanted to squeeze in that you didn't have time or the money to put in?
Yes, that's, as a developers, we would probably like to extend the game to like 200 hours of gameplay, but we didn't really have enough resources to do it, so no, that's, obviously I'm joking, but I think all of the main features, the main feedback we did get from the journalists, from the players, was addressed in this version of the game. Earlier we introduced version 2.0, right now the Enhanced Edition, that's like the most definite version of the game. And I think at this moment it has everything we ever wanted to have in Witcher 2 in it. So we're really happy with it, and sure, we, as developers, we can tweak the game forever, keep on creating new stuff, and we wouldn't call it, I don't know, next parts on or making it better and remaking. But we have to say stop at a certain point. We did do that like a year ago with the PC version, but we're still like having new ideas, and I think all of the features right now we ever wanted to have in Witcher 2 are being introduced in the Enhanced Edition.
I'm Michael Galvin. I'm a video game writer for Shadowloft. Are there any plans to introduce the first Witcher game to consoles or any other platforms?
No, right now we're totally focusing on Witcher 2 on the Xbox 360. So that's our main target. That's what we're working on. So I don't really want to be talking about different platforms and different projects at this moment. I'm afraid that's all I can comment at this moment. All I can say is that we introduced it to Mac. So like what, a week ago or something. I wasn't working on this project actually, but yeah, Witcher 1 is now available on Mac also, and it was a PC exclusive before. So that's all I can say at this stage.
Yeah, hi. I'm Alex. I'm a student doing computer science, but I just wanted to ask about the scenery because it's really, really beautiful. And the thing I noticed about it was it's so detailed, and even the caves are like naturally carved out. It's quite different to maybe some other RPGs you play, where it looks like it's I don't know, like tile built in that sort of way. So I wanted to know, what was your inspiration when you were building the scenery?
Okay, so I think I know quite a lot about building the scenery because I'm a level artist, and we really spend a lot of time, first of all, on creating concept art. We have really great concept artists who just draw amazing stuff. We watch a lot of movies. Obviously, we play all of the games almost that are out there, and we were looking for inspirations. And after we find something interesting for us, after we create the shape of the plot and what we really want to have in the game, after we have some artistic vision of what The Witcher should be like, we're looking for references, and we're just trying to expand them, to make them a little bit more interesting, and to transfer them, from photos to the images made by concept artists, and then through 3D art. But locations are something that is very, very important for us in The Witcher 2 also, because we believe that throughout the shape of the world, we're also able to share the story, to tell you a little bit more about the game's world again. So yes, we put a lot of effort, and the pipeline is quite complex. Just like I said, it's hard to even say where we're getting our inspirations. It's all, I guess, in our heads as a group, as a studio, and it's expanding. We're just exploring the ideas, always trying to, to think of something new, something interesting for the players, introduce something amazing, and I think we're kind of almost there. We are fans of the books. We really love the setting. We believe we can really understand it and feel it. That's why we're trying to be kind of coherent with what happened in the books and how the world was described. So we're often trying to use some references or descriptions from the books and have them straight in the game. Those are only words. It's sometimes hard to transfer them into actually visual art, but many times it's very, very useful. Quite often it's useful. So we're trying. Sure, books are the first place to give us references, but obviously not everything was described in the books, and that's where our total imagination and creative freedom is being born.
Okay. Another one from.
Hi, I'm Neil. I get into a lot of trouble making a show called True Gets. Obviously, The Witcher 2 is an adult game, and you've got a whole rainbow of swear words to use, but the word that keeps coming up again and again is ploughing. And I've never heard it used like this. Does this come from the books? Do you want to introduce this as a catchphrase? Where does the word ploughing, how does that fit into The Witcher 2?
That's a difficult question, actually.
For an adult audience.
Yeah, I'm sure it was very popular during the medieval times. No, I think it might be. We really put a lot of effort to translate the game. It's being created into languages in parallel at the very beginning, in Polish and English. We have one of our writers called Boris is a half American, half Polish, and he is doing a really amazing and great job in creating dialogues, translating it. So I'm sure that was one of his ideas. And we would have to call him to ask him why. But I think it was very successful, wasn't it? You can actually hear the word there and you remember it. So I guess it was a good decision.
You said during the presentation that console release was always in your mind when you were creating The Witcher 2. Was there a specific technical reason you decided to go with Xbox over PlayStation 3, or was it purely a business decision?
I think first of all is that we're a little bit more experienced in creating 360 games, not as a studio, but as people working in the studio. We have people, programmers mostly, that used to create Xbox 360 games a little bit more often than PS3 and all that stuff. So that's one of the reasons probably why we decided on creating the Xbox 360 game. But I think that answers your questions. I think those are the reasons I actually know about.
Oh, yeah, please come on, Phil.
Hi, Ahmed. I'm from
Hello.
a site called GameandLives.com. You said that you added a load of stuff into Act 3 as a result of all the feedback and stuff. What would you say was probably the hardest thing about creating all that new content as a result of the feedback that you got?
I think the hardest element was to actually, when we decided, or when someone made a decision that, okay guys, we are expanding the game, we're adding some new content, all of the developers were already content hungry. We already had a lot of ideas in our heads that were waiting because the game was already created. We were like, and we almost finished the production, and we did all of the rest of the locations some time ago. So we were really struggling to be working on this, and we had some crazy ideas about how it should look, what we should have back there. So I think saying stop was the most difficult actually task, because we wanted to put so much into those new adventures, to put so much stuff into those new locations, new dialogues, new characters. We learned so much about our engine, about creating the Witcher world, after making The Witcher 2, like the basic version of the game, that we suddenly had a lot of more ideas and tools and knowledge that allowed us to create, or we believe that this knowledge allowed us to create something even better, something superb. So we started experimenting once again, and I think that was the most difficult task, to actually be conscious and remember what we were trying to create, not to go too far with it.
Go on here.